Welcome to the Filmcast review of Ryan Coogler's Sinners. I'm going to read the plot summary from the internet. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their Mississippi hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back, end quote. Devindra Hardawar, let's start with you. What did you think overall of Sinners? And you know what? Why don't you tell us what format you saw this in? Because there's many different formats. We should all talk about which format we saw it in.
Yeah, I did not get to see any cool formats. For some reason, this movie is in a lot of cool formats. Not all of them are available everywhere, and that's kind of annoying. I saw it in a Regal RPX screen, so it's a bigger screen. It was 235, so it's super widescreen anamorphic. But it didn't do any aspect ratio changes or anything.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I kind of do want to see it somewhere else, maybe even a Limax, just to see what some of these wider shots look like.
Yeah, let's just pause, I guess, to talk about that a little bit. Jeff, what format did you see it in?
I saw it in Limax.
Yeah. I also saw it in Limax, and there were multiple parts where the aspect ratio changes. Most of the time, it's really abrupt. Most of the time, it's like you cut to a new scene, and then it's a different aspect ratio. But there was one part that I'm not going to say what it was, where it does change gradually, and that was very, very cool.
Incredible.
That was really amazing. So, but you saw an RPX, still a great format, Devindra. What did you think overall of Sinners?
I think this movie rules. I think Ryan Coogler has really become sort of a master, just of this form. Like, he is doing something really new and interesting here. This is an original movie that is both about the power of music, but also really does that visually in really interesting ways, and also is a kick-ass a horror movie too, a horror action movie. And I want to say a lot more about what this movie actually is, but yeah, we're gonna save some stuff for spoilers. But needless to say, this thing rules, and I'm so glad Ryan Coogler gets to be out here also geeking about film formats and being on all the interview shows right now too. He is getting his own presence out there. Shout out to him. He is kicking ass with this thing. This movie rules.
He's going to become, I think, if he's not already, a huge force in keeping the art of movies and film going alive. And that's really, really exciting. Jeff Kanata, what did you think about Sinners?
Well, Dave, I guess you could say what I thought about Sinners is best summed up in the form of a limerick.
Let's hear it, Jeff.
A thrill ride from dusk until dawn, infused with the power of song. With two Michael B's, this film you don't see, you just sit down and try to hold on.
Nice.
I also loved it. Maybe my favorite movie of the year so far. It will surprise no one to learn that I had no idea what this movie was about. And the movie takes a minute to get there, to be what it's about. And I honestly, I think you could trim 20 minutes out of the first act of this movie and
probably
be a little tighter. But I loved it. It is an incredible view of the South and a very specific time period. Wild to be playing South of Midnight, the video game, while also watching this movie. You just kind of don't get things set in this place with this kind of emphasis on music, and they're thematically very linked. Different time periods, of course, but they're both so unique and so distinct. And then they both come out within weeks of each other, a couple of weeks of each other.
Yeah.
That is wild to me.
It's a great coincidence. Yeah.
Really, great coincidence. Really highly recommend South of Midnight. And I will say, if you like Sinners, if you're listening to this review, having seen Sinners, loved it, like I did, like Devindra did, and want to continue that vibe, and you have an Xbox or a PC, highly recommend playing South of Midnight. Anyway, the use of music in this movie is exquisite. The texture and composition of this place and time is transportive. I loved being there. I loved just the feel of that place and the people. And I think Michael B. Jordan's awesome in this. He, of course, is playing twins, playing two roles. And I think it was very clear to me at every point. I mean, a lot is done with costume, but it's very clear to me which of the twins he was at any given time, which is, that's no small feat, right? And
I just gotta give a shout out to the twin magic happening in the movie. The very first shot of the twins, they're standing next to each other, and one of them smoking a cigarette and hands it to the other person, and then they pick it up and they smoke it, and it's like, from that point on, it's like, oh, there's no doubt that you're watching two separate people. Like it's just
the passing of the cigarette's amazing. The smoke wafts between them, which is
it's a flex.
You don't realize how difficult that is to do.
We've come such a long way since Jackie Chan's Twin Dragons,
right?
Where there were visible
like a dividing line in the middle of the screen to divide the two.
You set a cup down on a table, and then the other guy picks it up off the table.
It's remarkable how little you think about it after the first scene. It's like, it's two Michael B. Jordan, but then like after that, it's like, it doesn't even come to mind that it's the same guy playing both people at that point.
And every shot that involves the two of them doesn't seem to have been considered for, like it's shot the way you would shoot it if it was two distinct human beings.
Yes. I have no idea how they accomplished it.
Right. It's incredible. Effortless. The very complicated notion of having the same person in the frame. Anyway, I thought he was awesome. I thought everybody is awesome in this. Like Haley Steinfeld. What? Whoa, little Haley Steinfeld?
Yeah.
She grew up, man. She grew up in this movie. It's just a blast. You get such richness of character and motivation, and setting the table, setting the chessboard before it really becomes what this movie is, which is, this action horror movie. And it, I think, enriches all of that because you care about these people. You're invested in their lives and the outcomes. The supernatural has layers, right? This music itself is a supernatural force in this movie, which is so cool. And there's this really incredible sequence toward the middle that it is just a flourish of sort of celebrating music, black music, the history of black performers. It's really cool. So I heard Coogler describe this movie. I guess the code name when they were shooting Sinners was grilled cheese sandwich or just grilled cheese, I think. And he described it. He said, we called it that because you can make a grilled cheese quickly, but everybody loves it. Like it's good. It's always going to be good. You're always going to be up for a grilled cheese, but you can make it fast. And I was like, if this is you making a movie fast, that's pretty awesome. Like he just wanted to like shoot this one out, and this guy is supremely talented. I am so in for the rest of his career and what things he's going to present to us over time. And the fact that this movie is so visually arresting, so compelling. There are sequences that we'll talk about in spoilers that are literally just two people standing in a doorway talking that are like, I was gripping my chair, like the tension. I'm holding my breath during these sequences, and it's literally just people talking, nothing else. Static shot, people talking, and that is great filmmaking, in my opinion. That is when you are really cooking on all cylinders. Is that I am so invested, so into this that I'm hanging on every word, and there's a lot more than just words that fly in this movie, but it works on every level. This is just a blast. You come out of this flying high, man. It is really fun. I loved it.
I also really love this one. You talked about how you thought the movie could be shorter. I think it's a feature, not a bug. I mean, this movie spends 1 hour setting up everything. 1 hour. There's nothing like supernatural weird happens for an entire hour. And it's just, who are these people? What are they trying to do? What is this place like? What are the environs like? What's the mood in this area? It's really setting a tone and a sense of place that most horror films don't have. so that when the action and the killing start, you actually care about who's dying and what's going on and how they're dying. And I really, really appreciated that. I also really, really appreciated that something amazing happens in this movie that takes place in the 1930s, which is that there is Asian characters in it, and when one of them opens their mouth and starts speaking with a Southern accent, I was like, holy shit, this movie's incredible. Like, because those people actually they existed, right? They existed. And we never see them depicted on screen, right? We never see them depicted in a way where they actually feel like they belong to this place, because they always have a foreign accent. They're always like foreigners. But this movie actually is like, no, actually, like, Asians were have been a big part of the South, and they didn't all speak with foreign accents. And I really love that about Sinners. So just wanted to give a shout out to that. But yeah, this is Ryan Coogler's first like straight up horror movie, I think, that he's ever made. And he's shown that he has what it takes. He knows what makes these movies work. He knows how to achieve what makes them scary from a visual perspective, from a editing perspective. And I had a great time with this one. It's a movie that has like just a really distinct sense of place and really rich characters. And that's pretty notable for horror movies in general. So I am a big fan of Sinners. All right. Those are our overall thoughts on the movie. Let's talk about some spoilers starting right now. I did appreciate that the movie does conceal from you what is actually going on until probably the last like 20, 30 minutes, which is when they're trying to like figure out, like Winmi Masaku's character is trying to figure out like, they're like hates, right? They're like ghosts or whatever. And it's like, oh, actually, I don't think they're hates. Like, I think they're vampires.
Yeah.
And
just get right to it. Yeah.
And I do appreciate that. It's kind of them. They're trying to figure out like what part of folklore are these characters actually from, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that was a cool discovery process.
It's always great in a horror movie where they're like, yeah, it's just freaking zombies, guys. We know the rules. Let's do the thing. Do the thing.
The garlic moment was pretty great, where they'll have to all eat garlic.
That's straight out of The Thing, by the way. Like great little nods to other movies. Yeah.
I know I'm insufferable, but I didn't know there was anything supernatural about this movie before I watched it. I thought this was like a period gangster movie. And it's what this is why I protect myself from this is why I live unsullied, right? This for moments like this where all of a sudden I'm in a completely different movie. And it really does feel like Ryan Coogler's From Dusk Till Dawn, which is like, two movies that are butted up against each other, two completely different genres that are in the same movie. And I thought the gangster movie was pretty darn good, but not great. But then the movie gets great, and that's why I felt like, well, we could have lost some of that and gotten there a little quicker. I do appreciate all the richness and character, investment that we get in the early parts of the movie. But for somebody that didn't know where we were headed, it just felt like it was spinning its wheels a bit for me. And maybe because you guys knew where we were going, you were willing to sort of indulge it more.
I mean, we didn't know if it was fully vampires, but the trailers.
Yeah, I'll say the trailers were quite ambiguous. Like, something weird happens, but like the trailers are pretty ambiguous about what. I mean,
the first thing I said, they weren't clearly saying vampires, but the first thing that came to my head was like, oh yeah, this is Southern vampires. This is True Blood. This is True Blood.
Devindra and I were debating whether this is a spoiler, and of course for Devindra, it's not, because he knew instantly. He's like, oh, they're vampires. Like obviously their behavior. I
watch trailers. I see the marketing, and as they are talking about this movie, they're talking about vampire movies, so whatever. But now, as a vampire movie too, like it's a really fun riff on it too, because the vampires have a point. You know, this is one of those movies where it's like, yeah, come join us in our egalitarian community where we're just hanging out and singing songs and doing river dance. I always knew river dance was evil. But like,
it's like a kill him with kindness kind of deal.
Kill him with kindness, but you're either there or you're in very racist Mississippi, where your existence is at a daily threat from just other humans and the society that is built around you. So why not just like say, screw this, let's go murdering everybody. They make a good pitch. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And it's really funny to see like the juxtaposition of what the vampires are kind of selling and the time that this movie is taking place. I agree with you, Jeff, that I think the beginning maybe just takes too long to really get going, but it is very languorous. It is like, as we'll talk about, Val Kilmer's slow draw Southern accent. It just takes its time, and you kind of have to kind of just linger on those moments too, where it takes too long. And I appreciate that about that. This movie takes time getting to where it's going, and I think when you get to the vampire stuff, maybe we move too quickly. I do actually think like I could have spent longer in the big fight at the end or something. Like I wish we were more there, but overall, like what a wonderful like juggling act of what this movie actually is. And then in the middle, you've got the actual set piece of this movie isn't the vampire invasion. It's like him burning down the house basically with music and jumping into the future and jumping into the past. Incredible stuff.
So badass. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can all agree that this is a prequel to Blade, right? Like we're setting up Michael B. Jordan.
All you need is
Blade.
sprinklers full of blood.
He should be doing Blade. He should be doing Blade. I don't know what we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, maybe Marvel's not going to get it done, but Ryan Coogler's got this covered, baby. I loved it. So many incredible moments that put people in positions of having to make really tense decisions. You know, all of the like invite me in stuff is so well done. The fact that you get Haley Steinfeld turned like the white girl got turned real early, and you can't trust her, but also we love her. And and you're right, Devindra, to point out that juxtaposition of like, hey, we're not murdering you. We're just inviting you to the cool club. Yeah. You know, you're now in the cool club where you get to live forever and party. The party never stops. You guys love this party. Why would you ever want it to end? It's a cool positioning of that Faustian bargain, right? Is like you're giving up your humanity. And I love the forget the name of the character, but the one woman who, you know, knows about all the folklore and is tied into the supernatural. And she's just like, nope, you kill me as soon as this happens. Like she is not having any of it. And she's sort of like the moral compass of the movie and all that stuff with the lost child. I mean, there's just so much richness in every single character. Even, you know, Delroy Lindo's character, like all of the side characters get this kind of rich undercurrent of you caring for them. It's not just this Michael B. Jordan vehicle. It really is a tapestry of lots of different characters that all, I think, are compelling and interesting. And as each one falls, you know, even what's his name, the big dude who goes takes a pee. What's his name? Like it was a word like hamburger or something. Anyway, even him, like I care about each of these.
Cornbread, I think.
Cornbread. Thank you. I care about each of them in their own way, and you know the Asian couple when the husband goes out, you're like, no, don't go to the car, dude, don't go to the car. It's so good.
I'm gonna read to you from some publications from the 19th century, and these people are describing a new race of people in the United States. They say that this group has bestial, ape-like, or demonic features. And another writer said that this group of people hate our order, our civilization, our enterprising industry, our pure religion. This wild, reckless, indolent, uncertain, and superstitious race have no sympathy with the English character, end quote. The people, of course, they're referring to are Irish people.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, most people alive today probably don't remember or may not be aware that in the late 19th century, early 20th century, racism against the Irish was really intense in the United States. And I do think it is significant.
The Italians too.
Yeah. Indeed. I do think it is significant that the villain in the movie is an Irish person. That there is something about like, this is a group of people that like since this time period has been assimilated, but like wants to entice all these black people in this area to like be part of its collective. And it parallels the theme of the movie as many people think of it as a theme for cultural appropriation. I think that's kind of an interesting lens to view it in, right? Is that like, hey, we want your stories and your music and we'll make it part of our own. But like in doing so, obviously something is lost. And I think this movie like brings that concept out through the lens of like a horror movie, like a vampire story. Like they're these are not just blood vampires, they're cultural vampires as well, right?
It's Ryan Coogler existing in the Hollywood system. It is, give me your ideas and I'll make the big, beautiful, big budget movies of them. Like it's so many things. There's so much talk about like his own deal with this movie too, which we should mention, which is just kind of wild, even though other folks have done it. Other big name directors have done it, right?
Yeah. So I think it is an enjoyable genre film on its own. Like if you just watch it for the thrills, I think you'll get a lot of it. But I think like probe a little bit deeper, and I do think it has stuff to say about music, about cultural appropriation, about racism. It's a rich text, but what's great about it is you don't have to think about those things to enjoy the film. Like you can just kind of enjoy it on its own level.
Part of the grilled cheese. But we should also say this movie is very horny, and it's good to see because we've lived through years of beautiful people who are not horny. Like we've lost any semblance of sexiness or actual sex, the act of sex in movies. This movie just kind of goes for it and is kind of like unabashedly, these are hot people who want to bone all the time and do fun things. And it's fun to see. It is just fun to see. Like, this is a movie for grownups. This isn't Ryan Coogler like toning it down to, make something for kids or whatever the Eternals did. That poor, sad,
super hot, sexy scene in the Eternals.
Yeah. That we all think about every day. No, shout out to this movie for letting its freak flag fly a little bit too, and in ways that feel unconventional now. Just love to see it.
Yeah. Any other sequences from the movie that you guys want to bring up? I mean
everything. We should talk about the ending, the post-credit stuff too. Like all that is really fun.
I did appreciate that when there's a lot of stuff in the movie with fluids. Like there's a scene where one of the Michael B. Jordans eats Haley Steinfeld's drool, which is like
no, she spits in his mouth, and that feels like a nod to Tom Popo, by the way. But like, yes, love it. Just like really,
but I just like
things are just going all over the place, man.
Just going all over the place. I like that is true, and then and I like when he kind of stumbles into them together. He just like freaking opens fire. He doesn't even like. There's no question about like I'm just gonna open fire on this person. Like. Yeah, she's a danger to my brother. I'm opening fire, and then it removes the doubt. Like you can imagine, there'd be another version of this movie where he doesn't open fire, and it's like, oh, is she can she talk her way out of this one? Blah blah. But they're just like, nope, we're just going to remove all doubt immediately.
Get it?
Something bad is clearly happening here. There has been some controversy online with the fact that the Asian mom is the one that kind of, in some ways, dooms them all,
sells them out.
Because she like invites the vampires in, right? And Lee Jun Lee, I believe is the name of the actress who plays Grace. And I just want to say I found her actions to be I can imagine a younger David Chen watching this movie being very frustrated at that character, but I found her actions to be completely understandable. Like the movie did a good job of setting up that her child is at home. The child's dad's probably dead. Like she needs to get home to her child. Like, did you guys have any reaction when?
I mean, it's very much.
Yeah,
it's very much also like similar to Do the Right Thing too, where Black communities and Asian communities have coexisted in this country forever, but sometimes it's a little uneasy too. Like sometimes the needs of one group will outstrip the needs of the other. In this case, the mom just wanted to get to her daughter, but it does doom everybody else. Like her actions are fully justified, but you did screw everybody else in this building. So. That is just how that goes down.
We've geared up for a fight. What are we going to do? Sitting here with our sharpened wooden stakes? No, we got to put these things to use, baby.
She'll at least have a plan. She'll at least have, like, meanwhile, Michael B. Jordan's like, just give me a second. I'm coming up with a battle plan. Like something. But no, none of that.
Jeff, I thought about your review of Steven Soderbergh's presence while watching this movie, because when you think about it, it is kind of silly that vampires need to be invited inside the house. Don't you think?
I mean, a rule, right? Yeah. It's a rule. I don't know.
It's like these are supernatural creatures that exist beyond time and space in a way you can't possibly comprehend. They've existed for hundreds of years. They can like give eternal life to people, and you gotta invite them in the house. You can't.
Because there are other rules. There are other things happening. Right. There's spiritual protection of your homestead. Like it's supernatural stuff versus other supernatural stuff. Yeah. So that's how I've always.
It's the same reason that your covers protect you from monsters, right? Get under your covers, the monsters can't hurt you. It's there's no logic to it. It's how it feels. I'm safe in my home, and I have to actively invite you in. And these are not rational superstitions, right?
These are thousands of years of superstition, like built on each other. Like at the New Year's when you sweep out all the bad spirits from your house or something like that. Like every culture has its own version of this.
But I did really appreciate when Cornbread couldn't go in the house. And,
good. And the way he plays it off is so great for
He's like, why wouldn't you invite me in? Like, I'm a gentleman. I feel like you need to invite me. It's
and then it just goes on a hair too long. Yeah, it's and you're just like, and then they're like,
not right.
No, I got it. Now I know you can't get
something's not right here. Yeah, it's
so good
how that plays out.
They get a little too nice too. Like they put on their nice phone voice. When they become turned and they try to like talk to other people. It's like, my friends don't talk like that. That's a little off. Do you want to say? Glad we saved room for Ku Klux Klan massacre. Thank you, movie. You know what we wanted to see.
Oh yeah, that was just like a little cherry on top, right?
It really felt like
we got a Tommy gun over here.
Didn't need to do that, but it's like okay.
While we're here, I'm gonna pull out this gun.
About you.
Might as well just you gotta have Michael B. Jordan holding a Tommy gun, mowing down Ku Klux
and right there, like,
what's the
puts
point
it up there
of having a period movie with Michael B. Jordan if you're not going to have him mowing down Ku Klux Klan members?
What's in the case? He's been talking about the case the whole movie. What's in the case?
BT Dubs. Real bummer they didn't have that case earlier. We were supposed to have the case.
That's a shame.
Well, they left it outside, right? That was the whole thing.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
It was in the car.
Like, could have had the case, and then you find out what the case is. It's
damn shame.
I will say, I do want to talk about the ending, Devindra, but I do think like the idea of vampires that like are trying to turn you and also like know all of your history is terrible, and also they're part of a collective. Like, this is the first time I think I've seen that specific depiction. I've seen like versions, like different slices of that before, but the idea that they're all part of a collective, they all know your thoughts and your secrets, like that's like,
I don't know
genuinely
they're
terrifying.
Not all part of the collective, but the lead vampire knows your thoughts.
Sure, that's fair. That's right.
And that's been like part of like your sire will know certain aspects of your soul or something.
That's fair. Devindra is the vampire expert, but even I haven't seen it depicted as vividly as in this movie, and it's a very terrifying concept of like, oh, this is a person who like knows my deepest, innermost secrets and thoughts, and can use those to manipulate me to get me to leave this house. In the case of this movie, right? So, I thought that was. Usually like when I watch vampire movies, that dynamic doesn't really exist, right? Like from what I can recall, like.
Have you seen True Blood? I don't think we've ever talked about True Blood. And True Blood is like a similar thing where like the sire vampire will have certain abilities over the other ones. But even What We Do in the Shadows kind of does this a bit too. So
I loved the depiction of some of the stuff and how much restraint Coogler shows. Like there's a couple of moments where you see like just like deep focus of a body leap into the air, but then we cut away. He's never like overtly showing the supernatural abilities of these things, but you just get a hint of it, and it's so much creepier and cooler when it's just like you cut away right before they pounce. So neat.
There's a moment when Haley Steinfeld is walking away from the three white people, and one of them like jumps into the air for like a second, and then it cuts away, and then the next thing you see, Haley Steinfeld's back at the barn, and she's got the gold coins, and it's like. What happened?
What happened there?
What happened in between? And it's not. You don't feel good about it. It's.
I feel like that is also Ryan Coogler. Just looking at him in these interviews, dude is a total geek. I feel like that is almost a Blade 2 nod, because that was one of my favorite things Guillermo del Toro did in Blade 2, where there's a lot of Blade leaping from like the front of the frame to the back in like the big sword fight scene or something. So I can see a lot of influences there. Ryan Coogler has shouted out Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, because the sort of flame in the vampire's eyes is something from the bad guy in that movie. That movie rules. I've talked about that movie. That movie's awesome.
It's very good. Yeah.
I love that he is like pulling all these little bits in his own like stuff from The Thing, stuff from horror movies he's loved. And then he gets to be unrestrained when it comes to like how he's depicting music and how far he's taking this narrative too. Like that long take scene is just a beautiful thing. And then at the end of it, you see the vampires outside the building looking in, and the building is just like all the walls are torn away because I guess they're seeing everything happening inside. Just what a beautiful sequence of events. We don't see movies typically, I think, going that far these days.
I completely agree. I think that crescendo of just a celebration, and you get the sort of George Clinton guy, and you got all these eras of music and celebration and reverie. And I mean, that alone is worth seeing the movie in IMAX. Like that sequence alone, like the way the sound surrounds you.
Yeah.
It's just spectacular. And what a cool indulgence you like to build this movie that really doesn't, you would think the big set piece is going to be, the massacre, and to have it be this musical performance. And, shout out to Miles Catton, or Caton, I think it's pronounced, who is this like kid prodigy R&B singer. First movie, a lot of this movie rides on him.
Yeah, learned to play guitar for this role, if I understand correctly.
I mean, he's clearly a musical prodigy. Like he's like a kid. He's on he was on TV performing at like 9 or something. He's amazing, but also has to carry a lot of the emotional. I mean, he's who we start this movie with. Yeah, and that's a big deal.
Start and end.
Yeah,
and end the movie with. In some
this
ways.
movie is so well cast too. Like the guy who plays his father, the preacher, Saul Williams. He is a renowned poet and visual artist. I talked about his movie Neptune Frost a couple of years ago too. So to see these just like icons of current Black culture too in a movie like this, in a big budget Hollywood movie, it's just amazing to see. It's amazing this has happened.
I don't know how I feel about the 90s post-credit scene.
I love it. Yep.
There's things about it I love, but I also feel like it defangs the movie a bit. Pun absolutely intended.
Tell us why, Jeff.
Well, we get to this like kind of pat acceptance, like, man, that was the best day of my life, and isn't it great? Aren't we happy to be vampires, and aren't you happy? And we're nice to you, and there's no threat or danger here anymore, and we've been living in the world, and it's just all okay. And I just felt like, man, there's so much what's the word I want? The way the movie ends, the journey we've been through is so harrowing to sort of cut to, well, it was all right. It's all okay. It's all fine. Felt a little. Now, there's things I love about it. I do love. I'm hoping there's a Sinners 2. Like I said, I want this to be the prequel to Blade. I want us to see. And it's funny. I will say this too. For much of the beginning hour of this movie, I was like, do we really need 2 Michael B. Jordans? I'm sitting there going, okay, I get it. I'm impressed. Yep. But like, do we really need to reach? And then I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand. It's because we get to have our cake and eat it too, Michael B. Jordan wise. Of course he's going to have to fight himself, and of course we get to kill him and save him in the same movie. But I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the ending, because I just felt like there's a part of it that just kind of undermines the entire stakes of what I just witnessed.
I mean, I don't think it fully goes against, because what they wanted to do was just save the family, bring everybody over to the vampire side. the decision was not to do that. So it wasn't necessarily to kill them. And this gets into like vampire lore stuff too. I do love the stories of like, vampires living for hundreds of years and the lifetimes they lead too. So to have that meeting, and you get Michael B. Jordan in full 90s style, you get Haley Steinfeld in like 90s style hoop girl earrings and stuff. Just the aesthetic, like everybody in my theater was cackling because it looked hilarious, but also there was something heartfelt about it. Like it is a little pat. I give you that, but I don't know. I kind of bought it in this for this particular scene. Yeah.
I've been trying to think through what this movie is trying to say. Like it has many things to say, in my opinion, or it has many things it could be saying. And I'm trying to think through like, what is it trying to say about that character? Right. Sammy, I think is his name.
Sammy. He rejects his father. He rejects the church.
He rejects the church in favor of music. Yeah. Like he turns away from the church and he holds on to the neck of the guitar. Yeah. And I think what it's trying to say is, this is just, I'm just putting out a perspective out there. And obviously people who disagree, /filmcast@gmail.com, you can email us and let us know. But like, one interpretation could be that the concept of music and the blues is diametrically opposed to this movie's conception of the gospel and salvation, right? That's why like they're explicitly set as opposed to each other. Is like he's choosing one instead of the other, or
they're the same. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, again, this is my interpretation, and I guess the blues is a thing where it is a thing that this character finds so important it is worth turning away from his faith and family for. And there's something kind of lovely to the idea that 60 years later, the music has stayed in his life. Like he's still doing, he's not doing other things. He's not like skiing or something else. He's still playing music. He's a famous musician because of it. And when Stack asks him if, hey, we could make you live longer if you wanted to, like he rejects that offer. So
you don't want to be an 80-year-old forever.
Yeah, you don't. Well, maybe you'll be rejuvenated.
Right. It's this idea, right, of like there's something that is transcendent about music, and in particular, Sammy's version of music that is worth preserving beyond virtually anything else, right?
I would argue that it's not in direct opposition to spirituality, that it is spirituality, that the sequence and the entire refrain of, we heard it in the trailer when we started this review, that line where she says, there's this notion that there's music that is, or musicians that are so proficient with music that they will conjure the spirits of the past and the future, right? That is that, and we see that happen in the centerpiece of this movie, that there is this spiritual notion to the playing and the enjoyment of music, that the release that they are all feeling in that barn, right, is a spiritual moment, is a revival meeting, is a communion with the divine, and that his father's conception of a relationship to God is a flawed, limited perspective.
Yeah, no, that's a yeah. I was agreeing with you, and then I was going to say, but in contrast to like this conventional gospel that his father's preaching,
right. But his father is saying you have to give that up to be in communion with God, and his position is that is my communion with God, right?
But the movie also makes it clear doing it in the other way, outside of the church, invites evil. Right?
Yeah, I do think that's true. I do think
as a pop cultural performer, you're inviting this other stuff into your life, and Sammy's thing is like, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm okay with that. Like, so literally, the vampires are coming because of the power of his music, but also that's living in a creative industry, right, where you've got vultures all around you, or shitty producers, or the industry itself. Like it is. You are trying to create something beautiful in a system that often will be a little evil. He has come to terms with that. Whereas you could just be in the church and just be pure the whole time.
It is both the cause and solution to his problems, right? It is your salvation as well. The literal guitar is what vanquishes the enemy. So, I mean, in a literal sense, the guitar kills the bad guy.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it is his salvation and his right. And I think that's what the movie is really saying, is that, sometimes it's worth dancing with the devil, right?
You sell your soul a little bit to express yourself fully creatively.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think the only thing I would add, Jeff, though, is they play music in the church too. Like they're singing music in the church too. There's something that the movie's trying to say about blues specifically, or this person's blues specifically. I think that is like transcendent in a way that just quote unquote regular music is not.
It does tap into like the whole feeling of human experience in the way that church music doesn't typically.
Yeah.
In a sense too.
Yeah.
So you can sing about
Yeah.
sexy things. You can sing about dirty things,
Yeah.
and not just praise.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on? So actually, I never finished my point, Jeff, which was, so for that reason, it did kind of work for me. I was a little distracted by Michael B. Jordan's outfit.
I love it.
So good. It's so good.
But it did kind of work for me that it's like, oh, this person found this like transcendent ability and kept at it. Like gave up a lot to keep it and kept at it for his whole entire life, and maintained kind of the integrity of his gift. And I did appreciate that in a way that like, yes, could the movie have ended after the Ku Klux Klan people got shot to death? Probably. But like, it was a nice little kind of button on. The
and
whole
also,
thing, so.
Those characters, Michael B. Jordan's character, that character, is that one stack? And Haley Steinfeld's character likely could not be together in the world that existed, in their initial timeline. Like being a couple together would be very, very difficult. And there is something beautiful about like, okay, well, we're undead now, but at least we can still be together. There is something special about that too. Really reminiscent of Interview with the Vampire there. Yeah.
It turns out all you need is to just become a vampire. That's going to solve most of your problems.
Give it to me right now. I think we all can need to save us.
At the end of the day, folks, it is.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
No. I don't need to criticize a movie that I absolutely loved, but there is a moment at the end where, not that end, the earlier end, where they're out in the water, they vanquish the thing, and then the sun comes up, and it's like, well, the sun was gonna come up anyway.
The sun was gonna come
up.
Yeah.
All those vampires being out in the sun was not their fault. Like the vampires have to be smart enough to not be in the sun during the sunrise, right? Anyway, I
don't know, Jeff. This is the second movie I've seen in the last 6 months where a huge portion of the premise is a vampire being too distracted to go inside when the sun comes out.
Yeah.
Literally, the entire plot hinges on the vampire being too distracted to go inside. So it's like, I don't think it's an atypical. This is
they didn't have geosynchronized watches back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No phone alert saying when sunrise.
I feel like if I'm a vampire, my number one priority is not be outside during the sunrise.
Well, Jeff, I think we've learned you should not be attacking Michael B. Jordan in this movie.
Fair enough. At any point, ever,
really.
Yeah.
Not in the Creed movies either.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, it is really impressive that Ryan Coogler made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.